This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello, my name is Carol Merton, and thank you for joining us for We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. In this program, our participants are sharing their stories to increase awareness and understanding of the challenges of everyday living and survival for those who are marginalized and most vulnerable in our communities. They are unhoused or at risk of being unhoused and not having a roof over their heads. I thank those support agencies and services who work hard every day to meet people's needs and who have helped in the development of this program. And in particular, I want to thank Annette Pedlar, who is the Executive Director of Safe and Sound, who has been instrumental and a key supporter of this program to lend a voice to those who aren't present with us today. Annette, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Carol. It's been fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you. So, I'm here to pick your brains.
Great.
Because Safe and Sound is a wonderful program that's being offered in downtown Owen Sound, but you close at 3 o'clock. And I want to hear from you your wishes for those in our community who need the services, and what happens to people after 3 o'clock. Where do they go?
Well, it's really tough. It depends on the person, you know, and some of our people, they're actually housed. So that means that they don't need to, they'll go home to their house, and that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And other folks, they'll also couch surf, so they might be staying with a friend or a family member. So those folks are also able to return to some kind of housing.
Right.
And unfortunately, though, as a last resort, some folks are unsheltered. So that means that they don't have, they're not part of the motel program with Grey County for a variety of reasons we can talk about. And they don't have those other family natural supports, they're called. So instead, they have to resort to sleeping outside. And within sleeping outside, there's a pretty big scope too of what that looks like for different people. And so we're just here close to the water going for a walk to talk about what it might look like if somebody comes here tonight and has to sleep.
Take me for a walk.
Yeah.
And talk to me about, is that what they mean by encampments? I've heard the phrase encampments. If somebody is out near the water, wherever, that's an encampment.
Yeah, and it can be a encampment can be one tent. So,
okay.
You know, I think that especially when encampments are making the news, it's usually these really, really large scale spaces that you might see down in like the GTA or Waterloo region. They've had some pretty big ones there, but here we don't. They don't tend to kind of grow to that size.
Right.
But sometimes it's just one tent, and sometimes it's also, it really depends on the person. Some people feel safer when they're alone because they're worried about theft, they're worried about their personal safety, so it works better for them to be alone and isolated away from everybody. And some people approach sleeping outside at night entirely opposite. So they'll want to come together with a group so that they feel safer, because they know that if they're asleep, then there's someone else there who will watch their stuff. Or also, if there's someone who's using substances, it's a lot safer to have people around you when you're using. So that's another reason that people will tend to come together, because it's a form of harm reduction for the people.
So let's say I needed to find a place to sleep. Didn't have any option except to be outside. What would I need to think about to find a place? What would be some helpful hints if I was never had to do this before.
Yeah. Well,
not that you've had the experience.
Yes,
but
I'll say I've had the privilege of never having to sleep outside without choosing to.
Yeah.
So I definitely acknowledge that this information is coming from not from a place of lived experience,
right.
But I've been really lucky to have lots of people with that lived experience, share.
Yeah.
And it really one thing is the visibility. From particularly high foot traffic or the road going by. It's the encampments being removed are usually based on a complaint-based system that goes to bylaw.
Yep.
So that means that if you can't be seen, of course, there's less likely chance that someone's going to make a complaint about your home. So you're more likely to be able to stay.
So not being visible.
Yeah. And one thing I just want to mention in this is that it's a very predictable crisis, because as the county's motel program contracts in the summer to save money so that there's enough in the harsher winter months, they know people are having to camp. So my kind of thinking around it is people don't have to necessarily hide and they should be given options about, here's a space that you can live and have your home and not be harassed by bylaw or disrupted by private landowners who aren't consenting for someone to be there. Yeah. So I think it's one of those things that you can easily see it coming, and instead we end up with a lot of issues around like garbage and folks needing to go outside for the washroom,
because they have nothing else.
Because they have no other options.
Yep.
So I think it's a pretty predictable situation.
Yep.
And I always say, like, we have to pay for it one way or another. Yeah. And so we're going to pay for the park staff to have to go clean it up. We're going to have to pay bylaw to come and move people along all the time. Yeah. We're going to have to pay for the police, to go. But some of those costs would not have to happen if there's a bit of a planful approach to, okay, here's a space with waste facilities. Yes. Here's a space with a garbage can even, and put people in a position where they're going to be successful. Yes. Because it isn't just like a knowledge base. How do you go about tenting properly? Yeah. That's not something that is an easy Google. Yes. It's a lot of like figuring out by being kicked out, which is just already compounding the trauma.
Wow. That saying is so powerful. Figuring out by being kicked out. Yeah. And you just made a point earlier. We know that they have to have a place to stay. When they have no place, where else can they go but outdoors? Totally. Right? Yeah. So it is a given. Yeah. So why are we not planning on a given? Yeah.
I think it's certainly one of the more predictable crises that we experience. And the motel program, for some people, not all the motels will accept dogs. So if you have an animal, then that's a barrier. Yeah. Also, most of the motels that Grey County uses are all privately owned. Yeah. So the county might have an idea about if someone punches a hole in the wall or does something like that, they'll get from the county maybe a 1-month ban from...
so they're not allowed back in.
Yeah, they're not allowed back in. Yeah. But then it might be different for the motel owner. So the motel owner might give that person a lifetime ban from their motel. Yeah. So that means that when we're dealing with people who are in such high acute stress and vulnerable, sometimes things go off the rails a bit. Yes. And and the county definitely comes from a position of recognizing that, so they don't really give indefinite bans for the motel program. Right. But it's more on the private motel owner side. Yes. And I understand, of course, they're private business owners. Sure. They're trying to maintain a space that everyone is comfortable accessing. Yeah. So I'll leave their decisions
Yes.
for lifetime
Yes.
bans
Yeah.
to the side of it. But it does just leave very limited options for people to access the motel.
Yeah. Shelters. That leads me to the question. I've heard about the need for a shelter, but I need to hear from you because you run a program, you know, that offers many services to people.
Yeah.
What do you think about a shelter, and what could the role of Safe and Sound be in that type of a, you know, what would it offer that could help some of our individuals?
Yeah, well, I think that it's particularly related to the folks who are unsheltered, or the ones who are living in encampments. That's really the people who would obviously benefit most. I think that I come from working in shelters, and the dignity and privacy that comes with an individual motel room where it's not a communal setting, that can be really important.
Yes.
And I think that that's a real strength of the county's program in the motels.
Yep.
But there's also an acknowledgement that that's not for everybody. And whether somebody's not at a point where they can manage their own guests effectively, they're just not, they need supports, you know, with them. That kind of isolation is not, isn't going to work for everybody.
Right.
So it's that demographic of people that we really, when we're talking about a shelter, that we're thinking about.
Okay.
And it's also that, so one day actually in February, when there was a cold warning, we decided to open Safe and Sound overnight one night. And there was a real targeted effort leading up to that night to try, and we knew of 8 people who had slept outside the evening before. And so there was a real targeted effort by the county to have those people get them into a motel room. But even with that targeted effort, throughout that day, we actually had 15 people come into
more
the
than
space.
you thought.
Yeah, significantly more.
Yeah.
And that caught me a bit off guard, and I think our other partners as well, because there's more people than who are unsheltered than people know and realize. And like some of the people who came in that night, it was their first night experiencing homelessness. Some people came in just to access harm reduction supplies, and then they left. Some people still chose to sleep outside and just came in to get warm, and then went back outside. Back to my previous point about like we pay for it one way or another. We had one individual who got frostbite quite bad this past winter and was hospitalized for several weeks because of that, over a month.
Wow.
And so the cost to the medical system, to have him need to be in the hospital for that long, it significantly outweighs the cost that there would be for a shelter or warming space. So starting November 1st, Safe and Sound is being funded by the County of Grey to be open overnight as a pilot project for this coming winter. So it's not exactly like a traditional shelter where there's beds or anything,
but it is a place to come in and be warm and get something to eat.
And we're also in the midst right now of doing a feasibility study about what are the needs. So it's doing an assessment of the programs that are currently available in the area, and then also trying to find where Safe and Sound's place is within that.
Excellent. So there may be more news to share.
Totally, there will,
And then I can't believe our time is up, but I want to thank you. Thank you for the walk as well.
We made it a whole
good.
10 meters.
And thank you for watching We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. Please join us again to hear more stories and also to learn more about services and programs available. Take care and stay safe.
My Uncle Cheney was one of over 150,000 Indigenous children that were taken to residential schools between the 1800s and 1996. My uncle ran away from school wanting to get home to his mom and dad, and sadly he didn't make it and died of exposure. When Gord Downey found out about my late Uncle Cheney's story, he wrote Secret Path, a series of poems that became an album, then a graphic novel, a documentary, and a concert. Gord met my family, and together we formed the Gord Downey and Cheney Winjack Fund. Together, we are sharing Secret Path and other reconciliation resources with legacy schools, setting up legacy spaces across Canada, and hosting events like Secret Path Week to inspire all Canadians to engage in reconciliation. Before he left us, Gord asked us all to do something.
You're gonna figure it out.
Will you join us? Together, we can make Canada a better place.
Welcome to the Rogers Television program We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. My name is Carol Merton. Our participants are sharing their stories to increase awareness and understanding about the challenges of everyday living and survival. Some are unhoused and some are at risk of losing the roof over their heads. I thank those support agencies and services who work hard every day to meet people's needs and who have helped in the development of this program. We are currently interviewing a variety of participants, some who actually are unhoused or homeless, and some who work here at Safe and Sound. And today I am delighted to welcome Amy, whose official title is Backroom Coordinator. Now in this program, because we're actually taping on set here at Safe and Sound, you may hear some background noise. That's perfectly acceptable to us. We're going to continue the interview anyway, but the participants are in the other room and they come and they go, and this is their place. This is their center, and we're just here visiting and doing these interviews. So we'll continue on, and we're thankful that Safe and Sound has allowed us to be here to actually conduct these interviews. Amy, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're in your space, so I should say thank you especially.
No problem.
We're in the back room,
Back.
and it's a great back room.
Yes.
So tell me about the back room and tell me a little bit about you.
I used to be volunteer here,
Yes.
and I work here now.
Yes.
The coordinator. I love my job.
Yep.
It feels like home.
This is like home to
Yeah.
you. Very nice.
Try to help people out.
Yeah. And you and I have chatted even before this program, and what really struck me is how absolutely positive you are and how proud you are of what you can provide to people. I have to tell you, that touched my heart.
Thank you.
I just felt so good after our conversation. I went, wow. So it was just amazing. So tell me what even brought you to volunteer at Safe and Sound, and
A
then
friend before
Yeah.
used to work here, and that asked me to volunteer. So I was volunteer, so that I got paid.
very
So-
good. So that's how you actually moved in from
Yep.
volunteering. So it was through a friend.
Yep.
Yeah. So tell me about Safe and Sound, and then I really want to know what you do here.
Safe and Sound is, like I said, we try to help the people
Yeah.
and support.
Yeah. And you would get to see and know people,
Yep.
like the familiar faces.
Yep.
And would you say that the faces are changing?
Yes.
And the situations are changing? Tell me a bit about that. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I just...
like I say, I see most change of Safe and Sound what there was before
Okay.
now.
Okay.
And it's better now
Yeah.
before.
So there's more services? Is that what makes it better?
Yep.
Yeah. And certainly the hours of
Yeah.
operation are longer now.
Yeah.
So when you come into Safe and Sound, like, first of all, how many days are you here?
I work the 2 days
Yeah.
of the week.
Yeah. Two.
Yeah. Mondays and
And
like yesterday I work
Okay, all right. So you, yeah. And is it all day that you're here?
till 1 o'clock.
Okay, well, that's enough. It's summer. You want to enjoy some of the nice summer weather. So we're surrounded here by clothes. I'm sure the camera has probably captured that. So tell me about your responsibilities.
My responsibilities when people donate, I go through clothes, wash that, bring it up for the people, and the people get 5 items.
Yeah. So you basically are responsible for how lovely these clothes are.
The clothes, and I clean the back room, get a nicer clean.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me about, I'm going to really get into the basics now. Laundry soap. Who provides the laundry soap? Or do you ever need donations of laundry soap?
Some people donate, and some we have to buy stuff too.
Yep.
Some people donate laundry soap and stuff.
Yeah. And that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I imagine
We have.
what I'm looking at is a lot of laundry soap.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now, if I was a participant and popping in and out of the center, and I needed my clothes washed.
They could do wash in the morning.
Yeah. So could I do my own laundry, or do you do my own?
That you could do your laundry.
Okay. And I don't have to pay for it?
Nope. Is you come in, do your laundry.
Yeah. And you can stay,
Yeah.
have a coffee, get something
Yeah.
to eat, and get your laundry
Yeah.
and do your laundry
Yeah.
at no cost.
Yeah.
Because where would people go if they're living
Yeah.
without a roof
Yeah.
and
No way.
no money? Yeah. So this provides a very important service.
Yeah.
So let's say I know the expression is living rough. I'm not sure where that came from, but living without a roof, or no running water handy or whatever. And my clothes are so dirty, or they're so ripped, or they're so stained that I just don't want to use them anymore. What do I do? What can I do?
You could come, like I said, come here to get clothes.
So I can pick from any of these
Yep.
clothes.
Yep.
So when people donate clothes,
We go through them and we have to wash them and
yeah. And do you find that you end up getting a whole bunch of need?
yeah.
Yeah. Because people want to wear clean clothes, right? Some of the participants that I've interviewed, they say how important it is for them to be around people, to be downtown, hanging out with people. Being able to have clothes that you feel good in and clean would be important, for sure. Yeah.
We are human beings, everybody is.
Yeah. And as human beings, it should be no different whether you're homeless or not,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah. People should have that dignity of being able to have clean clothes. Yeah. So, do you find that people, do you run out of clothes?
Oh yeah, we got a whole bunch of donation.
Yeah. So you have to ask for donations.
Yes.
Because to buy clothes would be very expensive. Yeah. So donations come in. You make sure that everything is set up, and then people can come and get their clothes and be able to go out and at least feel clean
and be happy.
And be happy. Yeah. Yeah. And you must see that.
Yeah. And everybody say daily to me, and please say that.
Yeah, it makes a difference for sure. So when you have items that you really feel shouldn't be used anymore, what do you do?
We for donate for the at the
Or for example, if they're so dirty or stained or ripped, you just discard them then. So
diabetes.
Yes, yeah. So that leads me to garbage. I mean, you need to have the ability to dispose of things. So do you ever have people donate things like bag tags or garbage tags? Or so that's something that you have to be able to fund. Because we take so much for granted, for sure. Yeah, yeah. One of the things that I've also observed is if someone was to go for a job interview, they'd want to have nice clothes to be able to present for job interviews, right? And so this service that's here would help someone who's trying to move and transition into having a job. Yeah, and we take that for granted as well. Tell me about the cleaning up that you do.
Like I said, I sweep, I mop, I do the tables.
Yeah, the one that we're touching on.
At the tables too, back here.
Yeah.
And I do like the downstairs too, try to organize.
Yeah, as well, downstairs where things can be stored as well, which is really, really good. If you had some wishes stored in your pocket and you could pull them out, what would you wish for Safe and Sound?
To be happy, secure, be enjoy themselves.
Yeah. So the participants, you would want them to be secure.
Yes.
You would want them to be happy. And I imagine you see all different people in different places and spaces, right? Yeah. That must be hard for you.
Yes, and I try to help the two out.
Yeah, yeah. Do you find that people will come back here just to talk to you?
Yeah.
And do you like that?
Yep.
Yeah. So just to have that experience of, because some people are lonely.
Yeah.
So not only do you give them clean food and clean clothes, and you give them support by talking to them and giving them a place. There is something comforting about this back room. I have to tell you, it just feels like
I say, this is feel like home. Try to help the people out, and I enjoy myself.
Yeah, for sure. So you've been here how long as a paid staff? I mean,
Connie was here, the old boss.
So quite a while.
Yeah, for a long time.
Yeah. And from what I'm hearing, and we'll pretend that your boss isn't listening in. How long would you like to stay? Long?
Like I say, I like the people who I work. I like my boss. It's feel like I say, feel home.
Yeah.
And I feel more relaxed here.
Yeah. And you're able to feel comfortable yourself in this environment, which is a plus.
Yeah.
You know, not only does it help the participants, but it helps people who are working here to feel part of a community as well, and to feel good about what they do. Some jobs people may not enjoy, and that's always a challenge for sure. So for sure it's an important. We take clean clothes just like we take a roof over our head for granted, but you see a lot of people who don't have that luxury. They truly are living day to day with the clothes on their back. Yeah. I want to thank you so much for being on the program and for what you do. I have absolutely enjoyed our conversation. I look forward to more, actually. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thank you to our viewing audience for joining us today for We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. The voices of those who are participants in the program, but also the voices of those who provide services on our staff here at Safe and Sound. Thank you, and stay tuned for more Voices of Lived Experiences. Thank you.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
My name is Miles Morales, and I'm Brooklyn's one and only Spider-Man.
Miles! Want to get out of here?
So wait a minute, there's an elite crew with all the best Spider people in it? I'm Spider-Man.
Oh, no way! All of us are.
Being Spider-Man is a sacrifice.
You know, you're the only Spider-Man who isn't funny. We're supposed to be funny.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Rent it now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your Attack Rap host, Nick Kennedy. We're looking forward to next week's episode, next Tuesday here on Rogers TV.